right, hello. I'm here with my client. Would you like to introduce yourself, please?
Hi, my name's Tim. I'm 27 years old. I'm a crossing guard, and I'm here because I've been dealing with some anxiety.
Okay. Has it been getting worse lately? How long have you been dealing with it?
Well, honestly, I noticed the anxiety as a child, but in the past 2 or 3 years, it's kind of been getting worse.
Was there any kind of moment that made you realize that you needed to seek treatment? Did anything big happen, or just kind of tired of feeling the way you feel?
Well, things started when me and my girlfriend started fighting a little bit more. She had pointed out that I'd become more irritable, and at this point, I want to help the relationship, so I want to be able to deal with some of this anxiety.
Okay. Well, what I think we'll probably use for that is it's called the interrupting method. So we're going to use cognitive behavioral therapy, and what CBT looks to do is pick any kind of negative or maladaptive thoughts that you have, and then just try to fix those, and so that way you think more positive things. An example would be, say you're in school, and you have just not a lot of confidence with school. You failed an exam, we'll say, in a hard class. And then there's another exam, and you're sitting down to study, and you think, oh man, I'm going to fail this exam. I failed the last one. What's going to be different this time? I'm going to fail again. And so what happens is you go into studying, and you immediately have this just insanely negative frame of mind. And that sounds silly, but it applies to a lot of other aspects in your life. So what we're going to do is just try to delve into the anxiety a little bit, see what kind of thought processes you're having, see what kind of automatic negative thoughts you're having, and we'll see what we can do about it.
Okay.
So yeah, that's pretty much it. How this is going to go is you can go ahead and tell me your story. I will just interrupt you occasionally, just pick out some things that seem important to me, things that I would like you to expand upon a little bit. You can tell me as much or as little as you want. Obviously, the more information you give me, the better, but you do what you're comfortable with. My main point is not to make you uncomfortable, especially with this, because if you get really, really uncomfortable, then everything just kind of gets awkward. So just take your time, and we'll just see where it goes. So go ahead and tell me about the anxiety. Tell me when it started.
Okay. So I kind of first started noticing the anxiety when I was about 12 years old. About a year before my mother had left my father. It was more or less, it was a mutual split, but it made my father very bitter. And he was a good dad, but I always remember this disconnect that we had. And one day, I don't know, I approached him about it, and he kind of blew me off, and it started to worry me that just my own dad not like me, what's going on there. So I kind of noticed that I had some things that I did that were similar to what my mom did, or how I acted, or things that I said.
Could you explain those, and also talk a little bit about the disconnect that you said that you felt?
Yeah, absolutely. Some of the things I noticed is just how I viewed things. My mother was very much a this needs fixed right now kind of person. If there's a problem, let's deal with it right now. Let's talk about it. And I noticed when I did things like that, my father would become almost irrationally upset with me. It felt like he saw parts of my mother in me, and I don't know, I think when he saw those, I don't know, he just didn't like that, and I immediately felt like, well, he didn't like mom, I act like mom, so I don't know, it was really strange, and I believe that's kind of where that disconnect came from. I think that there were just a lot of things that he didn't deal with from his divorce, and it got taken out on me because, well, I would assume that most people are like each of their parents a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. It put a big barrier between us. We didn't communicate very well. We fought all the time. We were constantly yelling at one another. I thought about emancipating myself around the time I was 16, but I don't know. I never really got around to it. I, eventually moved out, and things got bad. Things started to get worse after that.
How so?
Well, so I went out. I got myself a job, a place of my own to stay. I was in trade school.
Sure.
Didn't work out. And that's how I ended up being a crossing guard. Somewhere in the midst there, I met my girlfriend Michelle, and me and Michelle, we have a place together. But anytime that she criticizes me, I feel like she's constantly criticizing me, and I don't think she means to do it. I think she's just, I do things one way, and she sees I should do them the other way, and it can blow up into a fight. But it's silly things like how we load the dishwasher, or what how we're going to plan this trip that we may or may not have coming up. Things like that. I just I constantly find myself becoming so irritated and upset when she criticizes me for the way I'm doing these things, because this is just how I know how to do things. And it's like, oh, she's coming in, it's like, oh well, I know how to do it better, and things like that. I don't know, I after a long time I just started to notice that maybe get down on myself, and now I'm constantly worried. Well, maybe my boss is thinking I'm doing something wrong, or maybe I'm close with my aunt, and sometimes I'm worried that she doesn't want me around because of the way I do things, and it's like I'm always on edge. I'm constantly trying to be like, am I doing this right? Am I doing this? And I'm back and forth all the time, trying to almost correct the way I do things, because I want the people in my life to be happy with me.
Okay. Well, do you have any evidence that your boss or your aunt do you feel that way?
Well, no. I think a lot of it happens when I'm maybe it happens a lot at work. I think everyone makes mistakes at work, and
Sure.
My boss is a hothead. There was one day where I was working at a crossing, at an intersection, and I helped the kids get across, and all the kids were done for that day. And I was packing up and getting ready to go, and I was walking out of the intersection, and there just happened to be a collision. I wasn't even really trying to direct traffic at that point, and my boss came down on me for that. He's like, how, this is your responsibility, but that point it really wasn't. So I that whole day and later that week, I was like I need to be more mindful. I need to be more careful. I need to be alert all the time, on and on and on and on, and it drove me crazy.
Do you think that one incident really impacted your job that much? Do you think that it's fair of you to think that way? Do you think you're a good crossing guard?
Yeah. I make sure I keep all the kids safe, and that's what my job is. I keep the kids safe as they're coming home from school. I see them in the morning, see them in the afternoon, and sometimes I'll volunteer like for like if there's a festival in town, like I'll work stuff like that. But I think I'm very good at my job. But when my boss comes down on me like that, I get inside my own head, I guess.
Well, sounds to me like you care. I think that's a really good trait. Can you tell me a little bit more about your aunt? Any evidence about why your aunt might think that way?
I don't know. Sometimes I'll text her or give her a call, and she won't pick up or she won't respond, and she won't get back to me till like 2 or 3 days later. And my immediate thought is, oh well, she doesn't want to talk to me. I'm being annoying. It's that I'm the problem, and sometimes it really feels that way.
Well, thank you for telling me your story. From what I gathered, it definitely seems like you do struggle with feelings of isolation. You don't want to worry about annoying anybody or angering anyone. But from what I can see, you're a pretty darn good crossing guard. So I don't. I think we can definitely work on that. I don't really think that one bad incident should define you. And yeah, I think what we're going to do moving forward is we will definitely continue to explore those thoughts a little bit, and we will see if any other negative automatic thoughts come up, kind of like how you mentioned you and your girlfriend kind of argue, and I don't necessarily think from what you're telling me that either one of you is right or wrong. It's just about going into things with a more neutral attitude and learning what works. So yeah, I think that's what we'll do moving forward.